This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
So yesterday, history was made.
Did you wake up earlier?
Yeah, hey now. Unnecessary attack right off the rip. You know, usually with our little cold opens, it's usually something funny, so I'm glad you got that in there. But man, no, Ovi broke the record.
Ovi broke the record.
What a moment. Something I never thought as a kid, I'd ever see that record get broken. No
Really?
shot.
Really?
I couldn't comprehend that. You know, my younger years knowing and learning hockey and Gretzky and all that, you're like, yeah, he's the great one. No one's going to do it. Even Ovi was asked at some point, do you think anyone will do it? And he said no.
He said it was
and
impossible.
then he goes and does it.
Yeah.
And what a more fitting spot too, right? From his office. Like you couldn't have wrote it up any better. And the fact that before the play, he was telling the guys where to go and this is where I'm going. He was basically scripting his first goal. Or not first goal, but, you know, the goal.
The goal. Yeah, what an accomplishment. Did it one game faster than Gretzky?
No, it was the same exact amount of games.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Same amount of
Same
games,
exact.
one goal more, basically. Yeah, it was... We were out to lunch at a famous spot here in Grand Rapids and or infamous spot here in Grand Rapids, and I saw him go up on the power play and I was like, oh, here we go. And I looked away for a second and I looked back and I saw everybody pretty much collapsing on him and him doing the celebration, diving on the ice, and it was I mean, how I couldn't believe that they took literally almost a half hour out of the game to do the celebration, to
It's
honor
wild.
him. I'm like,
It's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's wild.
yeah, like and then like they all shook hands with him too to like go through. I'm like, that's so
As they should.
right, but it's kind of weird, right? Like I just scored on you, and now you're gonna congratulate me, and. Yeah, but that's hockey, you know, the respect, and you see it, you know, after the playoffs, and then they do it here, and it's just like, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of weird in the middle of a game where they're all still battling and to play, and yeah, that was weird. That aspect was weird. To pretty much,
It's just the reminder of like the brotherhood of hockey. Like you go out there and try to kill each other for 60 minutes every night. Then you go get beers after the game. Like it's as soon as the game stops, it's all respect and, you know, it's a brotherhood, man. It's what makes the sport so freaking cool. And there's nobody that I could think of currently playing, like where you look at the guy that has the passion for the game, like Ovi does, that you'd like to see get a milestone like that. And he accomplished actually two things in that game. He got the goal record. And he made a bunch of people watch an Islanders game.
yeah.
Like, that's impressive.
That game was sold out. It's probably one of the only games that was sold out.
Did you notice how many empty seats there were after he scored it?
Yeah.
A lot.
He's been my favorite player since he's joined the league. Like, just how goofy he is and how funny and silly. And I think, dang, I don't want to quote this because it's going to be wrong, but I think he's like 328 hits away from the record for most hits in the NHL career.
It's insane. If
That
that's correct.
he's going to hold both records. That's fantastic.
He's dialed back on the hitting at this age here.
I love it. I hope he plays another 4 years, to be honest. 4 or 5 years.
I hope so too.
I hope he gets to 1,000 goals. I mean, the crazy thing too is he broke his leg in the season and came back 4 weeks later. Like that's crazy. He was on pace for like 50 goals this year.
Yeah.
Like I love the Gretzky part, and I love that Gretzky also honored Gordy with the pin throughout.
That wasn't a Ryan Leonard pin.
I don't think it was Ryan Leonard pin.
I saw someone tweet that earlier. That's the only reason I said that.
I wish, like, I don't know if you saw the painting that they did. I
Yeah.
really wish that they would have did. So they had Ovi with the cup, which was cool. Then they had Ovi again, and then they had Gretzky on the right side of it. And I was like, they should have put Gordy on there, like
That would have been
Ovi,
cool.
and just have the three. Like, why? I don't know. It threw me off with Gretzky being there in an Edmonton's jersey. Like, I
think
didn't
it's just
it.
the passing of that torch. I think that's what
Yeah.
that represented more than all the great scorers in the game. So
They should have.
it's
Gordy.
still super cool, and it's just such a great day for hockey at that point. Like, it wasn't just the hockey world talking about it. Everyone was, and that's a cool moment. And except if you were like one of the Pittsburgh Penguins fans that was like, Crosby's better immediately. They just celebrate it, enjoy this moment as one here as hockey fans. Tomorrow you can go back to hating the Capitals, but everyone was an Ovi fan at that moment, whether you like the Capitals or not.
Do you know who won that game?
The Islanders.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you stuck around for the rest of it.
Oh yeah, I kept it on for some unfortunate reason. But outside of that too, like, just talk about what a rookie week for Ryan Leonard. Like, get your first NHL game, get the empty net goal that could have been Ovi's, but he wanted to score on a goalie. You got Wayne Gretzky in the locker room after that, congratulating you on your first goal. Like, it's only going to go down from here, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you might as well just hang him up after this season.
They're going to go freaking win the cup again. Watch.
I hope so. Like, that's probably my favorite to win the cup. Yeah, just to like be done with the college season, come right in. You're out with Ovi at the bar, got bands to make her dance playing in the background, sharing beers. Maybe is Leonard old enough? I don't even know. But
I don't know.
I'm
we,
sure
we won't say he was sharing beers.
Yeah,
Officially,
sharing
we don't know.
drinks. What a crazy week for the kid, and he was born 10 months before Ovi's first goal. Like,
I think something like that, something crazy.
absolutely insane. How do you top that? Like, you're living the high life right there.
Oh, 100. I mean,
Leonard.
winning the cup is probably how you top it. Let's be real.
They are favorites to do it, I think.
I like their odds. I do like their odds. But enough about Ovi. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick. Ovi's the
And Travis. And Travis is not with us tonight. He is on vacation, much well-deserved vacation, especially after how his last week went at home. We'll let him share those stories on a Patreon episode next week, hopefully. But we'll leave it as he had a new lake in his basement during a storm. So, yeah. But he's on vacation, golfing somewhere nice and warm, and texting us about it, rubbing it in constantly. So hope he's enjoying his vacation. And we've got tons of hockey to talk about on this episode. We're going to talk about the last 3 Grand Rapids Griffins games, including a goal explosion from this team who struggled to score basically at all in the entire month of March, has all of a sudden awoken in April here. We're going to update you on everything that happened with there, talk about some of the specific players. We're going to give you guys an update on the AHL Central Division standings as they stand today. What are the playoffs pictures actually starting to look like as we are 2 weeks away from the end of the season, and the AHL playoffs basically start the day after the last game, or the next day after the last game of the season. It's insane.
So dumb.
So whole bunch to talk about as we dive into this, and we're just going to jump right into news and updates with the team. Now, going into last week, you had the additions for the Griffins of Dominic Shine and Austin Watson, which were huge to see them come back. A lot of people question, like, how much of an impact can those 2 specific veteran players be on a team? We're going to tell you how huge of an impact they were. It was outstanding, but getting them back was the exact boost this locker room needed. We also have to congratulate Jack Campbell, played his 450th pro game this past weekend in Rockford on Saturday. You also had Bob Kaiser getting his 11th Michigan Association of Broadcasters Award for his call on Elmer Soderblom's first goal of the season, and we're actually just going to play the call on air here for everyone to enjoy this call that he had, because it was a fun one.
It got away from him, though. Big hit, center ice. Shine just laid out his man. Griffin Soderblom, puck shot, score! Elmer Soderblom, he's got his first, and the Griffin behind win. And credit Dominic Shine, who absolutely obliterated Robidot center ice, freed up Soderblom into the circle he went, and he just roofed it at the 4:41 mark of overtime. And the Griffins win it 5-4. What a victory this is for Grand Rapids, who fought off all kinds of adversity.
So that was the caller that earned Bob his 11th Michigan Association of Broadcasting Award. Congrats to him, man. Best in the business. One of the best in the business, I should say.
Yeah, congrats to Bob. One of the best. I'm so excited to hopefully we can get him on here to talk some more. And it was good to rewatch that like when it got announced today, to go back through to watch it and just kind of relive that moment. And watching it again while you just played that, he had 41 shots on that. Just oh man, just kind of makes me shake my head. But it was a good time to bring that one back after, a weekend we had this weekend.
It was too, and it's good to bring back a clip of an Elmer goal too. Who doesn't love that? The smile on his face after that, since that was his first goal of that season there. So huge for Bob. Again, congrats, man. We definitely are excited to hopefully one day get you on the show here and talk about all the stories that man has, because we know he has enough to probably fill a summer's worth of episodes, honestly. Let's be real. And then the last piece of news we have, though, is a confusing one. We can't confirm by any means that this is accurate, but the Detroit Red Wings shared their going on their 3-game road trip photos today, and Austin Watson is in one of those photos. So potentially an Austin Watson call up. Be on the lookout for it. We've checked our sources, the transactions pages. There's nothing listed as of the recording of this show, which is 9 o'clock on Monday here. But maybe we'll see something. Who knows? And if it's the case of just Detroit bringing an extra on the road trip, be ready for my rage rant next episode, because Todd McClellan said today that everybody was good to play that played last night. So why are you throwing an extra guy on there who just happens to be, one of the Griffins' leading scorers? Makes no sense to me if he's just going to go on this 3-game road trip to sit. I'm sure he doesn't mind the pay bump for that 3-game road trip and probably the travel per diem that comes with it. But this is kind of a crucial time for the Griffins right now. And I know Detroit has a chance. I know they do. But why couldn't you just fly him out the day before if you need it on the road trip? You don't need him tomorrow, and they don't play Wednesday.
I mean, I'm just confused at the fact that you said we checked the reports, because I did not.
I know you didn't, but that's okay.
That's a fully you thing. He doesn't like being up there and only playing 4 minutes a night either. I mean, he kind of talked to us about that in postgame on Friday, or talked with me on postgame Friday about it. It's hopefully next season, and this is kind of a conversation for us to have in the off season, but hopefully next season the team is set up a little bit better for them to be able to do these call-ups that Todd is doing compared to when Newsy was doing these. And not great timing to be able to call him up, especially when this team just went off that many goals with him and Mr. Shiner back in the lineup. So not excited to see that, but maybe it's his twin. Maybe those were old pictures. Maybe,
Maybe. Again, that's why I said we cannot confirm that is happening, but we saw it on Instagram today, and that's what it is. And like you said, the boost that they added to the lineup, Coach Watson spoke about it with you on Friday, just like the guys lit up. They saw them come in the room, and everything kind of changed right there. So that's a huge piece to lose if the Griffins are going to lose them for their upcoming 3 games, especially the ones this coming weekend, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. Diving into these last 3 Griffins games, if we went through goal by goal, this would be a 3-hour episode at this point, and we're not going to do that. We'll give you the quick rundown of the final scores of these games in case you missed them. You had Wednesday's game at Van Andel against the Chicago Wolves, which the Griffins unfortunately dropped 4-3. A frustrating game. Post-game that night, you could tell there was a lot of frustration just about the results, and that if you missed our post-game interviews, go check them out on the social pages there. They are there. We're not one of those shows that take sound bites out of it and try to explode it into something that it is, but there was definitely some phrases said in those that would make you think if you're one of those people. But again, at least in the interview with Amadeus Lombardi, he continued to speak on the belief he had in the team and the group and knew they could get things turned around. And then we find out on Friday and Saturday that the Griffins actually had a team meeting on Thursday after this game. And in Bob Kaiser's words, it got a little heated, which isn't a bad thing. When you think of the stretch the Griffins have been on after this game, getting a little heated like that, not a bad problem to have. It shows the fire is still there. It shows the passion is still there. And I think that was a good thing for the team to do at that point in time. I remember Toledo doing one of those last year. It was right after their first Toledo Storm night where they got lit up. And then they came out the next night and put 9 on whoever they played that next night. And it's kind of fitting that the score of the next game is kind of how that happened. But your just quick thoughts on them having that meeting?
I mean, I find it interesting. Wednesday, the vibes were bad. Like, you and I both walked in there. The locker room was completely cleared out. It was very different from any other time we've walked in there. And, like, it's as if they lost their leading goal scorer for the entire year, MVP player. That's what we walked into. Like, it was just super down. The vibes are bad. Like, it was just a very different, and like even the message from coach was just very different from what we typically get. And then Friday, you get Shine and you get Watson back. And I asked them post game, when you guys came back, what was the message? Nah, nothing. I just said, hey, what's going on? And then come to find out that they had a meeting Thursday night or Thursday, which honestly, it could have happened a lot sooner. Like, in my eyes, I'm like, this has been going on for 3-4 months now, and nothing has changed. So it'll be interesting to see if this weekend is that momentum, that message carries through. That's what I am going to be keeping an eye on. I don't know who said what or what was there. I'd love to know more about this meeting. Maybe be a fly on the wall, or
that'd be entertaining.
Maybe somebody can say something to us. But yeah, maybe it fueled them, and maybe it was the 2 players coming back fueled them, because I thought it was, I don't know if the message did much. I thought it was the guys that came back.
I think the guys coming back had a big impact, which we're obviously going to talk about Friday's game here in a minute. But when you look at Wednesday's game, and I do agree that maybe something like that could have happened earlier, but it really was the perfect game for something like that to happen. I mean, it was such a back and forth game. You know, you get the lead, they tie it. You get the lead, they tie it. They go up by 1, you get it back, and then they tie it, or they take the lead again instantly. Like, it was frustrating, and it's not like guys didn't step up in that game. I thought the Griffins overall played a decent game. It was just leaky on the defensive side and allowing Chicago to come back and create opportunity for themselves. I mean, you had guys like Tim Gettinger scoring his first goal since January in this game. You had Amadeus Lombardi getting 2 goals in this game. You know, Dries getting 2 assists in this game. Wallander and Doucette getting on the score sheet. Like, they played well. And again, this loss does not fall on Sebastian Cossa, who started that night. He was phenomenal in this game, faced 38 shots. And it's just the defense overall let the Griffins down, unfortunately, and allowed Chicago to get creative, which we alluded to in last week's episode, that they're a creative team that might be able to expose some weaknesses. And at that point, with the way the roster was set, I know it doesn't sound like it, just getting 2 guys back, but that's a huge boost from where this roster was at. You add hundreds of games of experience back into the lineup, let alone, you know, 2 of your guys that can wear a letter at any given time. Shine wears one primarily all the season, and when Shine was gone, Waddy was wearing one too. So that is a huge boost, but this wasn't the Griffins' worst game, but it was kind of the perfect game to have that meeting after, based on it's a game they should have won. So I think some guys needed to be called out, and it just showed that the players did a good job of holding each other accountable instead of just letting the coach yap.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at you in the first period and I go, Cossa, like, there were a lot of defensive lapses, and Cossa was there to bail him out, and I thought Cossa was really locked in and ready to play, and he really kept him in there. Like, this game could have been a lot further from what the score was, a 4-3 game. I thought Cossa played really, really well. But then to see them just kind of back and forth the whole game, like, special teams obviously played a factor in this as well. I don't know. Like, I still feel like this team has struggled the last 4 months. We went through it last episode, I believe. And it's just like, the only thing I can think of is Shine's been gone that entire time. Watson's continually played up and down, or up for a while and then back down. I think Shine is literally the glue guy here. And you talked about it last year. He's the MVP of this team. And he comes back this weekend and boom, like an explosion of goals. So,
and they didn't know he was coming back till really quite quickly before the game. Like it was about 2-3 o'clock that day that they found out, I guess, that he was going to be back too. I don't think he even came back with Waddy. So that was a nice surprise. So I'm sure, the result of that meeting, you get Waddy back, the mood starts to feel good, and then Shine walks through the door, and the guys are all probably like, let's effing go. Like, we're going to go out here and shut this Rockford team down that, gave us a fit literally a week ago. So let's go out there and show what we're made of. And my God, did they. The Griffins come out Friday, smoke Rockford 8-3. An explosion of offense that we have not seen yet from this team this season.
Well, technically, we haven't seen it in 3 years. Historically.
It's insane to see a game like this happen. One, I have to apologize to Nick because this is the first game in a long time I've left him solo to cover a game for our social pages. And there was a 7-goal first period between the two teams.
And a fight. So sorry, Nick. I went as a fan for this game, and boy, did I pick the right one on the calendar to go to my first game as a fan and not media this entire season. Like I said, if we ran through every goal in these games, we'd be here for a while. But this 8-3 victory reinstilled the faith that I had in this roster. It's that belief that Amadeus said on Wednesday that he had in the roster. It felt like that "are we back" moment. Like we left that game going, are we back? Like, are we, is this the Griffins again? Is this the first half of the season Griffins that led the division? Are we back? And boy, did it feel like it that night. And then Saturday night adds more to it. But some points to talk about with this game overall. One of my favorite moments was actually in the first period. One part of it's not my favorite because Andre Becker takes an illegal check to the head, which was called. But immediately as Andre gets hit, Gettinger's gloves go flying and he decides to fight the guy. Like, it wasn't even hesitation from him. He saw it, saw Andre down, gloves went whoop, and he was throwing fists. Like that right there, not knowing about the team meeting at the time, told me like they've got each other's backs. This is good. This is a really positive thing to see. That's big on Gettinger for stepping up like that. Especially, like I said, in Wednesday's game, scores his first goal since January. Ends up scoring a goal in this game too. He was an assist away from a Gordie Howe hat trick. One. I can't believe he didn't get it.
I can't believe with 8 goals he didn't get it either, man. It's crazy.
I wasn't able to see the hit because I was still clipping the goal from right before it. See the gloves falling, see the fight, and I'm just like, holy crap. Or like, what happened here? And I'm watching the replay and I'm clipping it and I'm just like, good on Gettinger. He wasn't even involved in this hit. He wasn't involved really in the play. For him to go after, to step up, like maybe something was said to him in the meeting. I don't know, because the guy's been, sorry to say, but like kind of absent since January 23rd. Like the 23rd is when his last goal was. And this is a guy that's had a down year. Like, I'm not afraid to say it. His points total hasn't been there. It's a drastic fall off from last year. I said it. We had a question on it on the Patreon, and I kind of called him out on it. And then turns around and he scores 2 goals this weekend, and I'm just like, is he a Patreon?
Yeah, right.
I got a little nervous there. So it's not somebody that we typically call for post game, but to see him step up for Becker, like that was huge. That you're like, okay, the guys are there. You want to see that. You see it in Florida when those guys, anybody gets touched, everybody's jumping them. Like in Tampa, you see that. Like it's just, it's good culture, you know. And that's what you want to see. And then when the guys are going through these like ups and downs, it's good to see that, because that gives some momentum. That gives them a spark. Like,
and you look at it too. Like you look at that score sheet that night, and multiple guys had multi-point nights, right? But here's how you know that whole situation and what he's been doing or did in that game meant something to the team. He was the 3rd star of the game. Like there was a lot of guys in front of him who had way more points in that game, and Timmy was the 3rd star. Like that tells you it meant something to the team in the room for him to step up and do that. Also in this game, Emmett Finney, his first pro point. You've got to talk about that, right? Congrats to Emmett there. We would talk about it more, but he does something even better the next night. We'll move on from there. In this game, though, so many guys, like I said, with multi-point games. Nat Danielson, 2 goals and an assist. Andre Becker, goal and an assist. Austin Watson, goal and an assist. Dominic Shine, a goal and 2 assists. Amadeus Lombardi, goal and an assist. Sheldon Dries, goal and an assist. I could go on. It was just such a fun game. This, again, I'm so sorry to you, Nick, but I had the most fun I've had at a Griffins game probably since that crazy 8-7 OT win over Chicago a couple of years ago. Like, that was one of my most fun memories, except for, Bergie getting the playoff clutch goal too to force game 5 against Milwaukee. Also pretty good. This one was fun. This was, the hat trick. This one was just fun. Like, the fans were great. The vibes in the arena were immaculate compared to what it's been recently. And the Griffins reminded Rockford of who they were. Now, granted, Rockford did come into this with a little bit of a depleted roster.
Yeah,
we do acknowledge that they sat Drew Comesso for this game. He didn't even travel to Grand Rapids. They had Mitchell Weeks in net. He got yanked after 13 shots against. And then funniest thing of the week, Nick Grabko, goaltender who's played 1 game with the Walleye this year. He was a college free agent signing by the Walleye. Signed a PTO this week to Rockford. And we end up seeing him play in Grand Rapids on Friday night. And honestly, for what he had to walk into, didn't perform that bad. So credit to him. That's the ugliest situation you could walk into when you've literally played 1 professional game as a goaltender.
Yeah, so this was his first game in the A. He played 1 game with Toledo. He played 1 game with Idaho too.
You're right. Sorry. So 3rd professional game.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just correcting everybody on this guy this week.
It's good. He deserves it, man. Like, again, it's a cool story.
I felt really bad because we kept scoring on him, and I'm like, he is actually playing pretty well. I wanted to clip some of his saves and post them out there, but him being, an enemy that night, I didn't, I didn't know if I could get away with it, even though he was
becomes friendly fire real quick.
Yeah. So, and I was trying to get him post game, but that got kind of messy. So, but yeah, it was good. He played really well. He played a lot better than Mitchell Weeks, and I was surprised we didn't get Comesso.
Weeks 6 allowed on 13 shots. Grabko 2 allowed on 19. Granted, Rockford did collapse to a much more defensive game that they probably should have played for the entire game once he stepped in net. And the goals that he got beat on, there was no chance. No chance. That Watson goal with Shine on the assist.
Yeah, there's nothing.
No chance. But Friday was fun. And like I said, we're going to talk about the guys and get more specifically into some of these players and their performance over the weekend, but we still have a whole nother game to recap, but we also have an ad break to hit. So when we come back from the ad break, we'll recap Saturday's game real fast and dive into some of these guys specifically and their performance over the weekend and what we saw.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. And games left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And we're back. All right, one more game to talk about. And like we had said, the Griffins, they kind of gave me that belief and that hope on Friday night. What would they do on the road? Quick turnaround with travel on Saturday, playing this exact same team that they had just lit up for 8 goals. Sometimes you look at the other end and you go, wow, we just got lit up for 8. We're going to come out guns blazing or head hunting in this game. And the Griffins walk away with a 7-5 victory in this one. The only reason Rockford had 5 goals is because Zach Sanford had a hat trick in this game.
He did good Friday night too. He had like 3 assists.
He did. He's a pretty good player, honestly, overall. The only difference in the lineup with this game for the Griffins was Jack Campbell getting his first start in quite a while. And was it his best game? No. But was it a bad game? No. It was a game for him. But the offense continued to click in this one. I mean, Amadeus Lombardi, again, a 2-goal game with an assist. Dom Shine, a goal and an assist. Austin Watson, 2 goals, one of them being an empty netter and an assist. Nat Danielson, 3 assists. Joe Snively 2 assists. Rookie in the AHL. I shouldn't say rookie. He played pro games. I got to get that out of my head. Anton Johansson, 3 assists. His first AHL point in that night, and then he also backs it up with 2 more assists after that. And Emmett Finney with his first pro goal. And dude, what a shot it was, honestly. We'll talk about him more in a second. But the Griffins came out and lit it up again on the score sheet. Power play 1 for 3 after going 2 for 3 the night before. They did allow a shorthanded goal, unfortunately. And they did allow a power play goal for Rockford. But when you light up a team the way you did the night before, and then you go into their territory, you expect a closer game than this. And yes, Rockford made it interesting, but every time they made it interesting, Grand Rapids responded, which is kind of the complete opposite of what we saw for most of the season. When Grand Rapids would take a lead, the other team would respond. But every time Rockford scored, a minute or 2 later, the Griffins would add another.
Yeah, I mean, Coach said it on Wednesday. We can't keep a lead. Like that's been the problem, is we can get one, but we can't seem to keep it for very long. So it's good for them to, it's one of those things. It's momentum, right? It's trying to keep the momentum, and I think a lot of it goes back to special teams, but getting those goals, will help feed the system. But I mean, coming off that crazy game Friday, I think they had the confidence, they had the momentum, they were ready, and they were able to just kind of to walk through this one a little bit.
Yeah, I think confidence was at a season high for this team, honestly, going into this Saturday game. And it should have been. Like, the way they played Friday, their confidence should have been high. And then to respond in a game like this on Saturday and come out with a win. Like, I texted you guys going into Friday's game. I was like, worst case scenario, Rockford's 2 points behind us, sending us back to potentially 5th place in the division after this weekend. Like, and that should sound a lot of alarm bells, but
no, that would have been good for us.
Well, because we don't play well at home,
right,
usually, except for Friday. Hell, if we play like that in the playoffs at home Friday, I want home ice advantage all the way through. But for them to be able to do that, or to do the exact opposite of what I said, which I'm glad that's what happened, to be able to pull away from Rockford more, stay within striking distance of the 3rd place spot. I mean, Coach said it to you. We've been saying it all season. You want to avoid that play-in round. We've said it a few times, and I've kind of tried to pull Coach into saying those exact words, but he didn't. But you got it out of him Friday. No team wants to play that, because like we hinted at the beginning of the show, there is 1 day off between the final game of the season in the AHL regular season to the start of the playoffs if you're in that best of 3. 1 day off. You get to the best of 5, finishing 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, you potentially have a week off.
Yeah.
That's big.
This team needs it too.
I would agree. Not that the injury bug has completely bitten this roster. It's just literally lack of guys. I mean, you have 2 guys out with injury right now. Raklovsky is basically done for the season, as they've hinted at. We don't know the specifics behind that. We'll try to figure that out this weekend to kind of understand like what happened or when it happened, because I really don't know when it happened, when the initial injury, not when he came back for 1 game and disappeared again. Like, when did that initial injury finally happen? And then Cross Hannes was injured Wednesday. Scary collision into the boards when you watch it in person, but luckily he's just listed as day-to-day, so hopefully they'll get him back soon too. But at the same time, like, we're not injury bitten, we're just kind of call-up bitten, and also just lack of depth, because you didn't see the additional college signings for Grand Rapids. You didn't see, you haven't seen any additional guys that were drafted by Detroit sent down. I mean, there's still the hope that if Skellefteå gets bounced at some point, we'll see 2 players come from there. We'll talk about that more at the end of the show. But that week off just to rest your current guys, because that's the group you're going to have, it's going to be huge. So for Grand Rapids to be able to do what they did this weekend was obviously best case scenario, but to do it in the fashion that they did it was impressive.
I think the week off gives like Anton enough time to kind of gel with the team. It gives Finney a chance to gel with the team. You want to get like, and we'll talk about that too with the Skellefteå kids coming over. Like, it just gives this team more time, really to gel and kind of reset. It also, by that time, Detroit's either I don't know if I want to say that. Detroit will be done. So like then you get your call ups back as well. So it gives more breathing room. Everybody can stop panicking. Like
You can stop panicking. Good Lord.
that's why I laugh, because I panicked. I mean, rightfully so. 3 months ago, this team was not where it needed to be, and it continued to do what it did. So I think that week off is huge, but I also could see the counter argument of like, you get hot in the playoffs, you get this team going, like we're better on the road, so might as well start, right? I personally don't want to go that route because my schedule for that, like a Monday, it would be Monday on the road, Wednesday on the road,
Yeah.
and then Thursday home. If Monday, Wednesday, well, it'll probably be Monday, Wednesday, Friday would probably be what it would be. And I just, one, it's not good for playoff atmosphere. Friday would be sick if they were able to split it and then get everybody here for a Friday playoff game. Like, that's insane. So,
Especially because, like, if we do end up playing Rockford, like, I necessarily don't want to start in the road because that can be a hostile environment in there. Like, those fans are on top of you there. They get really into it. So they still don't know the difference between chanting Detroit sucks and Grand Rapids sucks. They don't understand how to read maps, and that's okay. Geography's hard. But at the same time, like, I don't want to necessarily start there. If I'm starting on the road, per se, in Chicago or Milwaukee, I'm not as scared. But at the same time, like, Rockford's a tough place to play. And that I'd like to avoid that playing around just overall as it stands now. But before we talk too much about playoffs, because we'll get too off track, let's talk about some of the guys over this past week here who stepped up. And you can't start this off without talking about the two veterans that rejoined the team on Friday. Austin Watson and Dominic Shine produced 9 points together over these two games. Like we kind of alluded to at the beginning when we talked about them coming back, you kind of question, how can two old veterans like that really make that much of an impact? Well, that's what they can do at this level and what they do for this team. 9 points between the two of them this weekend, including, like I said, a goal and an assist Friday for Austin Watson and 2 goals and an assist on Saturday, extending Austin Watson's goal streak to 6 games straight as a Griffin. Unreal performance from him right now.
did you look that up, or did he tell you?
Look, I screw up in postgame one time.
I did have to ask that in postgame. He thought that was funny.
I did get a kick out of that when you asked him. He's like, he starts laughing. He's like, who's counting?
Yeah. So I think it was huge to get him back. He got the minutes that he's used to playing. The team just responded, and I think he was able to play a little bit looser by getting that fight out of the way when he was up in Detroit, to be honest. And I was glad, like, that was a spur of the moment question I was able to ask him, which is something I wanted to ask him the week prior, and I was kind of waiting for him to come back, and then just right then and there I was like, oh yeah, he had that fight. But for him to come back, get the points, get the boys going, I don't know what the message was, because he didn't say there was a message on his end, but
he wasn't around in the room long enough for a message. He walked in, said, "Hey, what's up, boys?" and went to work, man.
Yeah, the funny thing is they both laughed. Shine and Watson both laughed when I asked them in post game. They're like, "Haha, no, we just said, hey, what's up?" and moved on. And I'm like, oh, okay, like maybe there wasn't a big thing. And then it comes out that there was a huge meeting behind closed doors. So,
but they weren't here for that. They arrived Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well then.
Yeah. So they weren't here. So they probably, besides maybe hearing from the guys, had no clue that meeting happened and walked in, was like, "Hey, what's up, boys?" Yeah, that's honestly probably how that all played out.
Definitely
they probably weren't lying to you.
Post game out this weekend then. So, but I mean, he's just the energy guy. Watson is. I mean, it's just that's what he does. And Shine, I think he really is the glue to this team. Like, he wasn't playing a whole lot up in Detroit, getting bottom line minutes. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of Red Wings games this year, so I haven't been able to follow him as close. But I just feel like he wasn't getting that time, he wasn't getting the minutes, and then he comes out here and they just explode for all of it. Like it was bottled up in Detroit. I think that's what I hate about those guys going up there. It's just like, not only it creates us being shorthanded, but it's just like they sit them, or they don't get the play time that they need, that they that they get down here with us. So
It's funny too, because we talked Wednesday at the game, you and I did, just like about like what was missing on the penalty kill, right? You're like, when Casper would hold it up against the boards, or I was like, well, yeah, when Shine takes it to the other end for a breakaway goal, like all that would happen. And then Friday night, those two penalty killers are back and they combined for a shorthanded goal, a very nice goal at that too, between the two of them. So it's just nice having him back, and I just hope it stays that way. Like this possible Detroit call up for Watson just pisses me off if that's the case, but at the same time, like I understand whatever, and he gets paid more money, and I know he likes to be up there, but I also know he likes playing first line, second line minutes here, making a huge impact, and that he is a true leader in this room that this team needs this time of year, especially.
It, to me, like those reassignments on Friday were kind of shocking to me, because I was like, okay, so either Dan called up and was like, Todd, I need them back, and I need them back now. We're making the playoffs. You guys are still in limbo. And that they were going to send these guys down because we needed the bodies after Cross went out Wednesday. So I'm like, okay, because I'd asked you, I'm like, where's Banto? You're like, he was on the ice tonight. I'm like, oh yeah.
Nick doing a good job up there.
That line was kind of, he wasn't that physical. Banto wasn't. So he didn't stand out to me.
He was on Friday.
So I'm like, okay. And then for them to say, Wadi to say, like, it was unexpected that they dropped them both to us. And I was like, oh, okay. So my head starts going of maybe Todd thinks that they're done. Like, they're not going to make the playoffs. Why try to push and keep these guys when they could be more valuable down with us? And then Detroit rattles off 2 straight wins without these guys. So I'm like, it's such a tough thing, and the Wings are a whole different, but yeah.
There's other shows for that.
Bugs me. And maybe we'll be on one of these.
Coming up here soon, hopefully.
Yeah, so I can complain.
But just getting those 2 veterans back obviously made the impact it did. But also in this, we talked over this past week, Gettinger, 2 goals and an assist over this past week, another veteran stepping up. But one of the kids really, really stepped up this weekend and produced at kind of the level you would expect a first-round pick to produce at, and that was Nat Danielson. A 6-point weekend for Nate. Like, he was phenomenal in both games. His passing, which has been great all year, but it felt like there was a new level of Nat Danielson unlocked Friday night, and it just carried through the whole weekend.
I mean, I think having Watson back really helps him. It creates a space, and he was lacking being able to have somebody on his wing while Watson was up there, not being able to, have the space that he typically does. I think too, on top of that, is Danielson is getting adjusted to the speed, the physicality of the game. I mean, we didn't see much from Marco last year in the first half of the season, and then the second half he kind of turned it on, and now you're kind of seeing that with Nate on this end of it. It's definitely some interesting conversations around Nate Danielson.
Look, if Nate continues to play the way that he's playing, I'm obsessed with the player that he could potentially build into, because you got to remember, like, Casper's first year here was not his first pro year.
Right.
This is his true first pro season. And has there been ups and downs? Sure. Has there been maybe lack of points? Sure. But I don't think he was drafted to be that 40 goal scorer. He's a 2-way center that can play up and down the ice. His defensive game all year has been impressive. His vision, his passing has been impressive. It's just, we talked about this, you and me, Wednesday night, where we said, there was a point in time where he's setting guys up and they just weren't receiving the passes. They weren't getting the shot off that they needed to. It wasn't lack of him putting it where it needed to go.
Yeah.
It was just lack of not being ready for it. Because as we also joked Wednesday night, why was every Griffins pass that night a freaking missile? Like, the passing was incredibly hard. Like, it was like they were shooting every pass. Except for Nate. Like, he was still doing his thing. But to rattle off a 6-point weekend, especially after said team meeting, like, it just shows buy-in. It shows what he truly is capable of. And again, just a really, really impressive weekend from the Red Wings first round pick.
I felt really bad not calling him for post game, but I was like, I already got 4 guys. Like,
No, keep him going. Get the whole
I'm
roster in here. 8-goal night. Let's go.
and Randy told me, he goes, keep it shorter than the amount of goal scorers tonight with 8. So, because I wanted to have a good balance of the young and the old, and to be able to bring, like, I don't want to say old, but like the veterans and then the rookie, like the newer kid.
There you go.
The
That's a better
younger
way to
kids.
phrase that, eh?
So yeah, you can keep it in. I don't care. So
I will.
Because I did want to hear from him because he did have 2 goals, but I also felt like we deserved to give Ammo another chance to kind of come back from Wednesday night's post game and give us the brighter side of things. So, but Nate, I mean, his passing has been great. His structure, his positioning has been great as well, and we hear that from the scouts next to us. It's not just us just spewing this. It's the scouts are telling us that this is what they're seeing. They love the discipline that he has. They love the structure where he's at and the vision that he has, and just the hockey IQ. Like I don't want to say Snively and Watson aren't great on his wing to be able to accept some of these passes, but I think a lot of times it just catches them on surprise that somebody this young is getting the puck to him like they are in these situations. I think that's what's catching him off guard, especially just the kind of roster that they've had to kind of juggle around a little bit with Mazer being out and having to split up Dries and Stiley because they were together for a while and they were very comfortable together. And now you see, Danielson, Snively, Watson, and that's kind of been the line for a little bit. So I don't know. With him, it'll be a discussion for off season, but I could see him back here. I could see him up.
Yeah, that's an off-season discussion. I'm not getting there yet. Settle down.
I'm
Holy
going to go into
smokes.
it while Travis is away.
Yeah, right. That's the safe time for you to do it
Yeah.
before he proves you wrong.
So yeah, it's exciting. Definitely have to be excited if you're a Detroit Red Wings fan. No matter what route this kid goes, like he's proving it. He's putting a lot of.
He's developing nicely.
Yeah,
He really is. And another guy that's developing nicely alongside of him, another one of the kids, as you would say there, the young guys, Amadeus Lombardi. Like, how do you not talk about him after these last 3 games? 2 goals Wednesday, goal and an assist Friday, 2 goals Saturday, and an assist as well. Massive week for Amadeus there. And jump back into playing center on Friday and Saturday. But, we asked him Wednesday about that adjustment to the wing and the challenge that it is. Then he goes back to center and just produces just like he was on the wing, like it maybe not a little more, but it was nice for you to be able to call him after that win. So for those that don't know how the situation works, and you might wonder after a loss, why are we talking to an Amadeus Lombardi and not a captain or whatever? You put the request in for people to talk to with like 10 minutes left in the game most of the time. A lot can change in 10 minutes for these Griffins, at least the way they were playing before. So yeah, we've had to unfortunately throw ammo in some unfortunate situations, and I felt so bad for the kid. I hope he understands like that's how they do it, and if he doesn't, we'll have to tell him this off season. But at the same time, he's had some rough interviews with us. But again, he's that kid that's never been like down on the team. He always spoke on having belief in what this team can do, and for him to rattle off a 7-point week, not bad.
Yeah, because we initially had Cossa on that media request, and then we kind of
things went sideways real quick.
And then we got asked again. Do you still want it? I'm forward. But you brought up an interesting stat the other day: is the amount of points that Ammo's had on the wing, and then also as center.
Yeah, I mean the points aren't that different. It's almost equaling out to the same points per game. Granted, it's a very small sample size, and still was coming back from injury. And that's impressive to be able to still kind of do that at this level, to get thrown out of your position into another position to try to help boost the team and go in and do what he was able to do there. That is very impressive. It's also impressive when you just look at his stats overall. Like you compare to last season, right? He had 5 goals, 21 assists in 70 games. Granted, yes, less minutes. He's playing 4th or 3rd line minutes last season in his rookie year. But this season, when I had made this post, had 17 goals, 15 assists in 38 games. Now sits at 18-16, 34 points in 38 games. He's almost a point per game player.
It's crazy. It's such a short, because he was out for a little bit because of injury.
Yep.
like where would this team and where would he be if a full season? Like that's like on my forefront of my mind, and like what is he gonna do next year? Like where and what is my that's off season, but that's it. Just I knew it's in him. I knew it was in him. I seen it in Flint. Like I was driving back to watch him, and he put up over 100 his last season in Flint. So I knew he could get it, and it would translate, and he knew it would too. And I'm just stoked that he's having the success that he is this year on the team.
It's been so much fun to watch. He is such an entertaining player.
In person.
I'm so excited for what the ceiling is for this kid, because I don't think any of us really know. Yes, it takes a lot for this type of play to translate in the NHL, but he has the work ethic to make it happen. And I think that's what the exciting thing is. And you got to remember, he is a 2022 fourth round pick. He only fell that far because it was a COVID year. He would not have been drafted in that position if it wasn't a COVID year. The Wings got lucky here, and they do have something that could potentially develop into something very special. And
huge.
It's been so much fun to watch this development go, because when we started this show, we were covering Flint with him there, just kind of watching what he did that incredible season where he broke out the 100-point mark. And then he comes in, obviously playing a very limited role last season, but plays the full season. And, you know, he went and did the work. And then you come into this year, and it's just been so freaking cool. It's one of my favorite stories of this season outside of Dominic Shine getting called up to the Detroit Red Wings, just Ammo's development. So, again, congrats to him on a huge week for this team, and just another guy that you know can take it to that next level when playoff time roams around. And that's what's going to be super exciting to see. Another thing that was exciting to see, though, Emmett Finney, his first goal. You know, we look at last week before their week off. He kind of gets tossed in, not a lot of practice time, and you kind of sit here and go, okay, what is a full week of practice? This is probably the most practice he's had with the full roster without being like a prospect extra like he was the season prior. What's a full week going to do? Well, it results in 2 points this weekend. His first pro point, the assist on Friday, and his first goal on Saturday. And I don't know about you, Nick, you might disagree with me, but he looks like he fits right in the position he's in on this team suddenly.
Yeah, we kind of wondered what position he would actually play on this team because he can play center, and coach talked about putting him in that position. So then you run with like Emmett, Becker, and Seager as your centers that can play down that bottom six. And then you also have Amadeus that we just talked about can play center on the wing. So there's a lot of moving parts there. And I think Gettinger's taking draws too, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like we have so many guys that could take faceoffs on this roster. Like our faceoff percentages should be pretty darn good. If the AHL would ever share those with us, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's impressive.
It's
especially when you look to like in the game he scores a goal, he takes a nasty hit, bounce right up. You know, Rockford was playing a rough and tough game, and I never saw him really get thrown off the puck this weekend. He was a lot stronger on the puck than what I saw in his first couple of games back with this team.
As he should.
You'd hope a week of practice would bring that to you.
Well, I just thought like a whole year. I thought you were referencing last year when he played.
Well, there is that too. But with Emmett, I'm going to throw it up for the YouTube viewers as well. I think we've got to be able to throw his first pro goal onto the show here. So if you're watching, you'll be able to see that there. But this was just such a heads-up play by him overall to be able to just kind of chase that bouncing puck down and it just, boom, no hesitation, just rips it. Like Austin Watson makes that good play where it looks like he was going for a change and Emmett kind of said, nah, I'm going to chase this puck down. And just rips it right past Comesso, which that's not an easy goaltender to rip anything by. No. Comesso is an incredibly talented goaltender for the Blackhawks organization. So to get your first against a guy like that, pretty darn impressive. Congrats to him. Super happy to see him get that first.
Maybe we figured out Drew Comesso's weak spot.
It happens to be that side. Emmett Finney. There we go.
That's the kryptonite. Yeah, what a shot. Just a quick release on that. That's the first time
good
I saw
thinking.
it.
Because you weren't covering that game, so that is okay.
Yeah.
It's just good to see like that. That's just confidence, right?
Oh, yeah.
You get the first point out of the way, you get the first goal out of the way. Like that looks like some of the goals I've seen him score in Kamloops. So I'm excited to see if he can build off that. Like I'm not expecting him to blow the doors down, right? He's playing third line minutes and he's a later round draft pick. Like you don't know what to expect. So again, if he can produce, it's all bonus for the Grand Rapids Griffins. But you can't not just talk about him being one of the young kids that surprised everyone this weekend. Anton Johansson, 3 assists Saturday, his first AHL point, then adds 2 more. Anton seemed a lot more comfortable after a week off with practice than he did the first few games we've watched him.
I've been excited about this guy for years. I've seen him play for Sweden. I've watched him play for the juniors. Like watching him with the Griffins, it's been refreshing because you see he's taking the offense. Like he's moving forward. He's moving in the offensive zone. He's taking every time he gets the puck, he's shooting it.
He's not afraid to shoot the puck at all. That puck lands on his stick. It's going towards the net.
And it's going towards the net, which is the goal. We should clarify. Where 2-0s is more like going towards the net, which is behind.
Hey, now leave Antti Tuomisto alone, sir.
So
he had a fantastic weekend as well. Come on, he had 2 assists Friday and an assist Saturday. Leave him alone.
Right. We love when he's passing because the passes are a little bit better than the shots. So it's good to see Anton going in. We knew I knew the offense was coming through, and you're going to start seeing him be a little bit more aggressive too. I think once he gets comfortable, you're going to see him start laying the body. He reminds me a lot of like a Nicholas Cronwell type player. You know, he was a little bit more aggressive in the offensive zone. He's not there for his shot, but he is there for his like toughness and just kind of laying some people out. I think we'll get to that point with him as soon as he kind of gets his legs under him being here. And I think this weekend was a good progress in. It's going to be interesting to see what Waddy does with these defense. He has so many to choose from now and just how the pairings are because he was with, I just had it. I think it was Buyum.
He was with this weekend?
Yeah.
I thought he was with Kanishov.
He was with Buyum on Saturday and he was with Buyum on Friday. So that's a good guy to have him paired with because Buyum does quarterback the power play. He does set people up really well. Is he still leading the team in assists?
For real.
I mean, so I think that combo works really well, and I want to see that line stay together. Off-season topic will be interesting too for these defensive pairings.
What that pairing should do for Red Wings fans is immediately excite them to see these 2 young defensemen paired up and the result be production. Like that's exactly what you want to see. Now, I mean, granted, did Shai Buyum have a big weekend like everybody else did? No, he had 1 assist over these last 3 games. But he's gotten plenty over the season to, have a good assist. Like you said, Nick, he's high up in the team in assists. God, what is Shai Buyum right now? He's 8th in the team in assists so far this season. 24 points and 22 of those are assists. So to see those 2 blend together, Red Wings fans should be stoked.
I like it too because Buyum gives you a little bit more of like an assist guy to setup guy, but he's also very defensively sound too. Like we're not looking at him like blowing coverages or things like that. And then when you get with Anton right now, he's pinching a little bit. I think he's pinching a little bit more to the outside. He's cheating up a little bit more for the offense. So he's being more aggressive and taking those shots. He's trying to get into that zone a little bit deeper. So, which I think it brings good balance. Like obviously you want him to be more defensively sound as well, but at least you have Buyum back there to be able to do that and to cover for him. So, and I feel like they communicate well. They play well together. I think it's a yin and yang situation there. So, I like that pairing. The third pairing has been kind of crazy. They're just rotating guys in and out.
If you ask me, Coach found the defensive pairings for the playoffs this weekend. Wallander and Tuomisto in that first pairing. It's been money ever since they've started playing together. in the American League. Like they balance each other really well. Wallander's a great stay-home defenseman. 2-0 is 2-0. He can rip shots at the net to try to get, get pucks in traffic. He can score. We did see him score on Saturday with a freaking bullet from the blue line. My God. You got the second pairing of Buliam and Anton Johansson. I love that pairing, as we've just talked about for the last 2 minutes here. And then Knyshov and Didier together. Didier brings physicality. Knyshov brings speed. They balance out really, really well together. And I liked a lot of what I saw from them this weekend. So, you didn't see Knyshov in the lineup for a game this week, and you saw him jump back in this weekend and make an impressive impression on me, at least playing that third pairing. So if I'm coach, those are my 3 pairings, and I don't change a darn thing going into the playoffs, honestly. I know that might shock some people. He does leave some other guys out like Brogan Rafferty and Emil Viro, but I really like the 3 defensive pairings we had this weekend.
I want to challenge you on those pairings, but I do want to say one thing, though, is 2-0 played really well defensively this weekend, too. There was a couple times that he was able to tie up his guy on a breakaway on, I think it was Friday's night's game, going back into the zone, and was able to tie him up, not take a penalty, get the puck back in our possession, and then put it right back up towards the offense to bring those guys ahead. And I was... Man, I wish I could remember whose goal it was. There were so many goals this weekend, so it's hard for me to remember. But it was just 2-0 started the whole play and then moved it all the way up, and just based off of him going back and tying up the guy. And
it was the Watson Shine power or shorthanded goal.
Okay. So I was like, it's in the description of it. I just thought like that really stood out. Even before the goal, I was clipping it because I was like, oh wow, like look at 2-0 go back there and do that. And I thought Wally played good too this weekend.
He did.
Well, so
defensively, he played very good this weekend, and he was physical.
Yeah,
it was a new physical side to him that you see flashes of, but he was extremely physical. And mixing it up a lot with Rockford this weekend. And it was kind of a side of him I don't hate to see. I kind of want to see some more of that. So
yeah, because you saw that with Albert last year, and we really liked that. And then
that snarl, but also like the ability to walk away from it and smile about it, even though Albert didn't smile. But anyways, your challenge to me on those pairings. I'm curious to hear what you got here.
Can we transition or no? Are we done with this weekend's games?
No.
Well, because that's what I'm going to challenge you is you're going to get ASP in here, so you can't put him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, settle the fuck down.
Like he's got to be on the top 1 or 2 pairings there, so that's going to throw off your entire pairings.
As the roster stands right now, that's my pairings. Leave me alone.
But we're talking playoffs. He'll be here for the playoffs, and he is not.
You don't know that.
He's not going to be a third line pairing.
You don't know that. So as the roster stands right now, that is the pairings. I knew that's where you were going to go with that. As soon as you said challenge, I was like, I'm ready. But also at the same time, I'm like, I know what he's going to say. God, he sat here saying Trey Augustine was going to be here for 3 weeks straight, and then I proved him wrong there.
Is there proof of that?
Oh, yes, there is.
I thought you cut all that.
I did for one episode, but there was like 3 episodes before that where you also said it. So
yeah.
Exposed right here.
I told you I'd go down with that ship. I was okay with that. There's not often we're wrong.
Let's like I joked with you guys this weekend when the goaltending situation has been so interesting to watch in Grand Rapids. We didn't really know what was going on with Jack, like if he was going to play or not, and like the thing creeped into my head where it was like, if Trey had decided to go pro and ended up in Grand Rapids, would he have gotten a start Saturday? Would he? Maybe.
Probably. Wait, would Trey or Jack?
Trey. If that whole again, if it's ifs and buts, whatever.
If my mom had balls, she'd be my dad, right? Is that
exactly?
Exactly.
Thank you for the F1. Thank you for the F1 reference in the show. I appreciate it. Oh my God. Hey, last guy to talk about over this weekend. Just one more person. Joe Snively gets some credit. No, not you. I gave you credit earlier. Joe Snively gets some credit this weekend. You're looking for the veterans and the kids, obviously, to all be producing. And you're looking for the veterans to kind of step up in these difficult games. 3 assists Friday, 2 assists Saturday for a 5-point weekend. Not bad from Joe Snively. Very happy with that.
Are you only going with him because you picked him first for Saturday's game?
No, I was just honoring the fact that he produced some good points this weekend, sir. And is
I-
still leading the team in scoring overall at 44 points. 20 goals, 24 assists.
I
So-
picked him Friday. You picked him Saturday. It worked out for both of us. Stoked to see him still producing. He needed to as well. Like when you're veterans, like we've rode this top line pretty hard this year, and I feel
He-
kind of bad for them a little.
Yeah,
bit,
especially because
right?
like the last 4 games was 0 points. He had a 2-point game previous to that. Then he was 3 games with no points before that too. So good
Get
to
him back,
see.
yeah, get him back on there. And he's still playing those first line minutes. You get him with Danielson. I'd like to see that chemistry start getting a little bit better, but
It's tough when you look at that. Like we talked about this Wednesday again together. Like people don't understand the impact that the Carter Mazer injury had on this entire team.
yeah.
Not only the fact that you just lose. What's that?
and MBN not being here like he was expected.
Shut up. You lose Carter Mazer. Not only did they lose Mazer, they lost a guy to Detroit because of the call up of Mazer and everything like that. So you lost 2 guys, but you obviously lose the talent of Mazer, which is fantastic. Like we know what he can do at this level. We've seen it through and through here. That injury has a much larger impact than just losing Carter Mazer. So I want to make sure that we point that out to everyone because I think that kind of gets lost in translation with how things have gone over these past 3 months. That's a big loss for this organization.
Yeah, because when he was here, like he was taken out pretty early in the season, then battles his way back through injury, comes back, and then he was a point per game player through that time, just about, and then he gets injured at the call up, and it's just like between that and Shine being gone, that was the heartbeat of the team. I feel like
Yeah,
it
it took a lot out of them. So, look, to be able to go through the stretch they did, still be in a playoff spot, and still fighting to be out of that play-in round, actually to be only 9 points out of first, like they got lucky. They got lucky. This could have went south a lot sooner, and I'm glad it didn't. And I think that's the perfect point to transition to talking about what these playoff standings look like currently.
As you can see, everybody gets in. Okay.
Yeah, right. So this is how, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the standings in front of us, but this is how the Central Division standings look currently. Milwaukee at the top of the division still at 83 points. Texas tied with them at 83 points with a game in hand on Milwaukee. Chicago behind them at 74 points. Grand Rapids tied with Chicago at 74 points with a game in hand on Chicago as well. And then Rockford at the 5th place spot there at 64 points with Iowa behind them at 58 points, and Manitoba officially eliminated from the playoffs. So again, this is still tight. The Griffins, with their week off, gained some games in hand. We have 2 games in hand on Milwaukee and a game in hand on both Texas and Chicago. We've got some challenges coming up here, but here's the bonus when you look at that. One of those games of the last few remaining is an out-of-division game against Cleveland on Wednesday. That's pretty big to come back with 2 points from that, hopefully. And now you're talking about, at that point, either we're back in third, still tied with Chicago, whatever they decide to do. We've clearly pulled away from Rockford. A 10-point separation there is huge. But with the way the schedule shakes out here, you got Texas at home twice. You want to challenge again for that second, potentially first spot in the division? This coming weekend is the weekend to do it. What can they do against the Texas Stars, who are a phenomenal hockey team? Let's be real. Their goal scoring, it's incredible. The 226 goals scored this year, 199 against, and they've got 4 guys that have the Griffins number when it comes to goal scoring. Was this weekend enough of a confidence booster, and was that team meeting enough of a wake-up call to make that run back towards the top?
Tune in next week, and we'll be able to tell you.
Yeah. Great answer. It's just crazy when you think about what we went through with January, February, and March, that we're still talking about first in the division is a realistic opportunity here for the Grand Rapids Griffins. Even being fourth, first is still a possibility because, as the Central Division does every year, it gets insanely close. I mean, 9 points is 9 points, you think about it, but they win. They win out this week, let's say. That's a darn good weekend of production towards that. 6 points. You got 3 points left to get up there, hoping that Milwaukee and Texas both struggle this week. And Milwaukee's got some tough opponents too that are all kind of in the same position we are. So it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this week is gonna be huge. Like I think the Texas matchup right there, that's the one circled on my calendar. I mean, Cleveland's been just as bad as we have been, just as good as we have been.
They haven't been great.
Yeah, they've been kind of going through it like we have. I mean, they were at the top at one point with us, in their division. So I think that Texas one is going to be huge if we can and we just got shut out by them 4-0 that Wednesday.
Yeah, the boys are going to come back in that first game there with some anger in their system and come out and try to light it up. And luckily for us that both of those games are home games, and the last 2 games of the season bring good crowds. So
we got to be there. We got to be loud. We got to bring the energy.
Fans got to bring the energy and be the difference maker in this one. Make it really, really tough for Texas to produce anything in this game. But if the Griffins play like they did this past weekend, they should be able to handle Texas.
I heard somebody was slipping an octopus into the arena.
I hope so. God, we haven't seen one in a while in Van Andel. I would really appreciate if someone did that. It's not me. Don't point at me. I am definitely not one. I ain't throwing shit from the top of the press box. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Nice try, bud.
Yeah, it's this is the game. I think this weekend was nice, right? We're like, are we back?
It was great.
Are we back? And then
this week will prove if we're back.
This is the week. If we can go on a run right here, this is the week. You're going to get reinforcements next week. Who they are and what capacity, we don't know. But I mean, it's kind of lining up that way. So it starts with this week. This week is huge.
I'm excited for it. I always love good end of season games that still matter, even when you have a playoff spot. Like, everyone hates the AHL playoff format, me included. Like, every team frickin' makes it, right? It's stupid. If this was a normal format, Rockford wouldn't be in the picture at this point. It would be just these top 4 teams here, and we'd be good to go. But the way it is set up, it does make some of these late season games really matter, which makes it fun. So,
especially when we're not playing the same team. Like last year, we played Rockford like 8 of the last 10 games, and then we had to play in the playoffs.
That's exactly what happened this season. Are you kidding me? That's still the potential to happen there. We still have another game against them, right? We still have 2 games against Rockford. We have 2 games on the road against Rockford. Our 2 of the last 3 games of the season are against Rockford.
Jesus.
And then you go to Iowa for the last game.
And then we play
I'm so sick of playing the damn Ice Hogs that we better get out of the play-in round just so I don't have to see them, hopefully, for the rest of the season. That would be the ideal situation.
That would be a good matchup, too, because you get Rockford versus Chicago.
That'd be fun.
That would be actually pretty good.
The battle of Illinois. The battle of the team from Chicago and the team that thinks they're from Chicago.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got to get my jabs in where I can.
I hope that's the route it goes. But, Iowa could slip in and pass Rockford.
Dude, that'd be insane. That would be one of the craziest comebacks I've ever seen.
I think those coaches are playing for their jobs at this point, too. So I think... So
hear me out. Fun scenario for the Griffins. Are you just so sick of playing Rockford that, let's say you've got 3rd place locked down and Rockford being in the playoffs comes down to your last game against the Iowa Wild. You go, F it. Let Iowa in. We'd rather play them in the playoffs, which I wouldn't, because that's Jesper Wallstedt in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to do that at all. He's kind of revitalized his season, honestly. So... you don't toss that game against Rockford or Iowa and let Iowa slip into the playoffs. You just let the cards fall on their own. You never throw a game, right?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help us with the draft picks, so.
Yeah, exactly. Good God.
Which is what we should be doing with the other team right now. But more on that later.
Hot topic right there. A quick update for around the AHL and the playoffs, though, before we do end this segment here, just to give you guys an update here. We'll go back up to the Atlantic Division here. That division appears to be all set here. Hershey, Charlotte, Providence, Wilkes-Barre, Springfield, and Lehigh Valley have all clinched their playoff spot. You go to the North Division here, and the only spots settled have been the top two there with Laval and Rochester. With Laval and Rochester. Syracuse, Cleveland, Toronto, and Belleville all still battling it out for those final spots there. Cleveland sitting at 77 points, Syracuse right in front of them at 78, Toronto tied with Cleveland at 77, and Belleville behind Toronto at 71 with 6 games remaining in their season. And to wrap it up with the Pacific Division here, you got Colorado clinched at the top of the division, Abbotsford, who's on an insane 13-game win streak right now at second in the division with their playoff spot clinched. Ontario clinched, Coachella clinched just yesterday. San Jose and Tucson rounding out the bottom of the division there with Calgary as well. Sorry, I skipped over them. So you got 5th, 6th, and 7th between those teams. 8th, Bakersfield. 9th, San Diego. San Diego. And Henderson rounding out the bottom of the division. Very much eliminated from the playoffs. They've had an awful season being the Golden Knights affiliate. So that's where the AHL standings sit currently and who's made it in and who hasn't. The last topic for the episode is Nick has been wanting to talk about all episode, but I keep telling him to save it, is when do the acronym kids show up in Grand Rapids? When do ASP and MBN end up in Grand Rapids potentially? Which we all know that MBN will come to Grand Rapids once his season is done. The ASP thing, nobody officially knows. It was all determining where Detroit is at in their playoff race. If they could start losing and eliminate themselves like we know they're going to most likely eventually do anyways, that'd be great. Because, reminder for everyone, if ASP comes over and plays just one game for Detroit, he cannot come to Grand Rapids for the playoffs. So, and us being selfish Griffins fans would much rather see him be here. I think it'd be a lot more fun, and you get a lot more post-game interviews with him potentially. So yeah, root for that if you want to see more ASP content. At the same time, when could they possibly be here? They're down 2-0 in their series right now in the playoffs. If they got swept, they would be done by the 10th, which is Thursday. It would take some time for them to get here. They'd potentially be here for the last week of the season, as my math checks out right now.
Yeah. How many more weeks are left in the regular season for the Wings?
They are done on the 18th is their last game of the regular season. Or sorry, 17th.
17th. I was like, I see Toronto
17th.
on 17th.
17th. I can't read. 17th is when the Red Wings are done. So there is still that risk that Detroit does what they probably will end up doing and putting him in for a game and just pissing us off. But everything's not made for the Griffins. We understand that. We're just being selfish. But at the same time, when I think about it big picture, you want him to experience North American hockey in games that matter down the stretch. You put him here in Grand Rapids and let him do a playoff run. That makes the most sense. So
do you let him play 3 games with Detroit, or do you let him play possibly 5 games with Grand Rapids? I think you probably go with a 5 game. Well, yeah, because we're in the playing round at least.
Oh, as it stands right now. Sure, yeah.
So you get at least 5 games out of him instead of 3 with Detroit. And those Detroit games, they probably don't play him. They probably play him third line minutes, shelter him, and he's not getting a whole lot of ice time.
Let's be real too. When you look at Detroit's schedule, your last 2 games you're playing New Jersey and you're playing Toronto. Toronto's probably going to field half an AHL roster because it's the last game before the playoffs start and they're already locked in. You're going to put them in games that just don't matter for the opponent whatsoever. Like, why would you do that? Put them in games that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, put him in games that matter. I mean, he's going to get 3, and who's his partner going to be next year? Probably one of the top guys, right? Probably. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it makes more sense to bring him here.
Look, before you
being selfish.
Before you fans jump to the comment section being like ASP belongs in Detroit, we agree.
Yeah.
Like he will be in Detroit next season. This season, it doesn't really matter.
That's your take.
I say he will be. Like that's just the way I see the cards falling here. Those games for Detroit don't matter. Look, by the time we even get to that week, they're probably out of it. As much as, we're Detroit fans through and through. We would hate to see it, but at the same time, like, their road to get there is not easy. I think I looked at the schedule last night and I wrote up maybe 2 wins to close out this season, if I'm being honest with you, depending on what type of rosters the other teams field. Look, we won by 1 last night to the Florida Panthers, who were missing $50 million in cap space on their team.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great. We'll be honest, because we're not a Red Wings podcast, so we don't have to answer to as many angry fans in the comments when we say that. Maybe there'll be a few. Who knows? ASP should be here once Schleft's season's done. MBN, that's already an obvious. He'll be here next season too. It's exciting to think that we do have the prospect of covering both of those players. Like, this is going to be a lot of fun for us, and we can't wait to see what kind of content and highlights we'll be able to share with you all. When you think about the Griffins roster overall, we've already seen what the addition of Shine and Watson can do. You think about getting Elmer back and then adding those 2 pieces too. The outlook of this team changes dramatically. It goes from a playoff round or 2 to this team could still do a cup run 100%, especially if Cossa stays and gets hot. If all the stars align, they could do it. And that's a really exciting thing when you think about that in perspective. Would you rather see ASP go play 3 meaningless games in the NHL or go potentially win a cup in the AHL? I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think tomorrow is, as of Tuesday's game, Red Wings versus Montreal.
Yeah,
that's the biggest game moving forward. Even if they win out, they still are not guaranteed to get in the playoffs. I really think ASP here is going to make the most sense for development, timing, space, getting his legs under him, getting adjusted to the time zone, just like Anton. He's probably partnered up with Anton, to be honest, because they were already partners before. So it just makes more sense to ease him in here and give him more games. I mean, 1 game and you're done. Like, that's not, what would be the sense of even flying him out here? You know what I mean? Like, for what, 2 games? Is that what we said? 2 games? 3 games?
2-3 games potentially with Detroit. Yeah.
That doesn't, I don't know. And he probably doesn't even play that first game. He probably sits that one and then plays the final 2 if he goes to Detroit. So, same thing with Griffins. Like, he probably played the last 2 games of the season and not it's kind of sucks too, because like the home ice fans don't even get to watch him play until we get playoffs. So
that's fine. We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, we'll still take it. The kid's a game breaker. He's a game changer. I'm so excited for this kid to be here, because it changes the organization. He changes the organization absolutely from top down, and it's somebody I haven't been able to personally see in the organization since covering this team.
Yeah,
like anybody that good.
Yeah, it's exciting. We'll keep you updated as we hear, if we know anything more that we can share around when the possibility of that happens. And yeah, sorry, Schleft's fans, we're rooting against you in this one.
We're rooting for against you last round.
Very selfishly, we are doing it. We understand. I know, but that's all we have for this week's episode when it comes to Griffins content. I did have one last piece I wanted to add, just kind of the feel-good piece. Congratulations to Meredith Gaudreau and the Gaudreau family. Meredith welcomed their birth of their son, Carter Michael Gaudreau. So super awesome to see that. I know, with that whole story this year, it's been such a sad one, but to watch Columbus do what they've done this season is just kind of been pretty impressive. And I feel like that at this point, the entire team's going to have new dad energy as a whole, welcoming him into the world. So congrats to them. That's just a really nice thing. And I love the middle name being Johnny's middle name too. So super cool. Just wanted to end the episode on a super positive note there. Not that it hasn't been a positive one already with the way the Griffins have frickin' played. There's such a change of pace from what we've recorded the past 3 months.
Yeah.
I love it. Keep it rolling, boys. This is fun. I'm excited. Like we said, the Griffins have 3 games coming up this week. You got Cleveland on Wednesday in Cleveland, and the final 2 home games of the regular season, both against the Texas Stars. So follow us on all the social pages there for coverage and updates of all of those games. And we know the Van Andel Arena will be packed this weekend for both those games, as the last 2 games of the season usually are. And you got Fan Appreciation Night Saturday, as always, $2 beer night on Friday. It's always a good time. I can finally verify again that it was a good time this past Friday. It felt so good to be back in that arena as a fan. Just such a different perspective from being media to a fan. It's crazy. So with that, we'll wrap this episode up. Thank you all for tuning in this week. Stay tuned for future updates here, and hopefully a Toledo episode with maybe just me and Nick. That'll be a fun one here.
What?
Nick's shocked. He's like, what? I got to do this? Yeah, Nick and I might do that this week here. We'll see if the schedules allow it, with Travis being on vacation, with the Griffins playing on Wednesday too. That usually throws a wrench into all of our schedules. So stay tuned. If not, we'll have the updates on the walleye for you the following week. But as we end the episode, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, make sure you're using code WEST to save a few bucks off your order, and it also supports the show. And of course, we got to thank our Patreon members for supporting the show as well. Without them, the show would not be possible. And those guys currently are...
We've got Randy, Alan, Derek, Elaine, Griffin, John, Lori, Michael, Regan, and our newest added is Tyler, and then also Claire Bowden.
Welcome to the fam there, Tyler. We still have to come up with a name. Give us suggestions in the comments already what the name should be for our Patreon subscribers. We've got to come up with something creative here that somehow balances both Griffins and walleye. I don't really know what we're going to do there. We'll figure it out. But let us know what you think. Nick, don't give me any ideas on the spot. Save those for later. That's how you derail the episode for another 20 minutes. Stop it. With that, everybody have a fantastic week. And as always, go Griffins, go walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod, and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.